My husband and I were just in twice this year and just a month ago in the West Bank, and right at the time, right after Abbas had rejected the Goldstone report, which he later rescinded his rejection. And he did that under U.S. pressure, and he is widely regarded by Palestinians in the West Bank, at least the ones we talk to, as a quisling, and more so. This move to withdraw from the next presidential race has, I think, maybe restored his reputation a little bit. But he's a weak leader, and he is seen as bending over backwards to do the bidding of the United States and, of course, of Israel. And this doesn't help him
What
at all.
sort of pressure is he coming under, though, when he's in a room with Hillary Clinton? He's
coming under intense pressure from the United States, from Hillary Clinton, from Netanyahu, from Obama. I mean, you know, the whole Obama administration, whatever it's been now, 9-10 months, have what Obama called for, this settlement freeze, was a minimal step in the first place, just getting the Israelis to stop absorbing more of the West Bank. He wasn't asking real concessions of Israel. He certainly wasn't asking any backtracking of Israel. In return, from the Arab states, he wanted real, genuine concessions. And I think that he was, I have to think that he was just misguided in thinking that he could get Israel to agree even to the settlement, to a settlement freeze.
But Tony, surely if the U.S. president says stop building settlements, stop increasing the expansion, why on earth are they ignoring him? I mean, it's a bit like biting the hand that feeds you, surely.
Because the Americans have very rarely had the courage to see through their demands. He should never have gone down that path unless he was prepared to see it through. There's no enforcement mechanism. All peace plans that have been put forward in the past, apart from the one that I've just put forward, has no effective enforcement mechanism. I disagree a little with Kathleen in her pinpointing the pro-Israel lobby. It is powerful, there's no question of that, but it can also be a pretext. It lets off the president too easily. You know, when Eisenhower, when Daddy Bush, when Secretaries of State have taken a very firm stand and seen it through, the Israelis have backed off. And I think they could do that again on this occasion. I think Obama is being badly advised. He set out his stall in Cairo. He hasn't seen it through. If there's time, I'd be glad to present to you the 3 steps that I think they should take now in order to bring 2 states into creation.
So the public view, do you think the public really cares? Is that another problem?
I mean, it's problematic, and also it's somewhat misleading, because obviously, I mean, one thing which came through is that people on the streets of London can have an opinion about a faraway country which is smaller than Wales, and I don't know if public concern is making the situation more difficult, or in fact it might be it might be a vehicle for people to place pressure on their governments. But I think one thing which has become clear very recently from both of my colleagues is that, in fact, even if you place a lot of pressure on a government like the U.S. government, there is actually very little they can do. The U.S. government has, in terms of its foreign policy, has agendas which are not exclusively to do with public concern. And you really have to ask the question of why the U.S. continuously passes over these checks every year to a country which is which you can no longer even make a case for as being a kind of asset in the Cold War, which had even a very questionable claim to be an asset during the Cold War because of issues like the John Pollard case, which continues to spy on the country itself. I mean, I think it was less than a month ago where there was the last Navy or Pentagon scientist who was arrested in the U.S. for espionage on behalf of Israel, and you just have to think, like, what it beggars belief. Whereas the Arabs states are not really threatening. I mean, the new kind of thing which you're hearing now, the new fashion, is that Israel is fashioning itself as a kind of counterweight to Iran, and therefore the U.S. should support Israel. But then you ask the question: when did Iran become an enemy of Israel? Why of the U.S.? Why is Iran a threat? What
Iran
for?
is considered a threat to the U.S. only because
Only
Israel
because
considers
it
it's a threat
and
to itself.
it's bizarre.
Exactly.
You can go
It
to,
is
you
bizarre.
can hear this being said by people in the smaller Gulf states, the Arabian states on the Persian Gulf, who will come out and say that, like, Iran is a real threat. What for? Since when? Why is Iran the bogeyman of the world?
Not a threat.
It's not.
Yeah.
It never has been. I mean, Iran is not going to conceive
So,
of the launch missiles
well,
against the
why
US.
then? Why is Iran being made the bogeyman?
Because
Well,
Israel...
I think it serves an interest of the Israeli lobby. Like we need to kind of protect Israel from Iran, but do we really? Is the US going to protect?
Can I jump in here?
Every single time to say it's the Israeli lobby. Whatever the question, here's the answer. Here's the answer. Give me a question.
It is
Well, where is the will and the
What is it?
determination, Tony?
Well, first of all, let me tell you, there is a new pro-Israel lobby.
J Street,
called
which we all
J Street.
love.
Which is also very
Yes, I was
Zionist.
at the conference there.
Is
only
also
last
very
week.
Zionist. Doesn't want to use U.S. aid to pressure Israel.
It's a
doesn't like the
new and
Goldstone
important
report.
development on the field. So let's see how it develops. It supports two states, capital of East Jerusalem as the Palestinian capital, withdrawal to the 67 borders as the basis. But I don't want to go into that. I
would like to
Just
go
hold on,
into that.
Kathleen, I'll bring
Let
you
me
in
just-
a minute.
Well, I'll come back to it.
I think we are... Who's coming back to...
I'll come to you in a
okay.
minute. I just want Tony to finish this.
I believe the conflict is still resolvable. You accused us of being optimistic before. I mean, I'm not optimistic either, but do I believe it can be solved? Yes, I do. Do I think we've got very long? No, I don't. I don't believe it can be solved according to the suggestion there that you get people together. I think that any bilateral negotiations would be sham. Confidence-building measures would lead nowhere between an occupying authority and an occupied people. What I think you need today is a swift, robust, international initiative with a clear political horizon and an effective enforcement mechanism. And what I propose is a simple 3 steps, and it would be putting the responsibility on the parties themselves. In other words, the international community, let's say the quartet of the US, EU, Russia and the UN, would invite the principal parties to tender their own visions of the endgame.
And you think that pressure from the quartet would bring about a solution?
Well, I think if they start with that step, in other words, America doesn't try and force negotiations, nor does it lay down its own vision. It begins by saying to the parties, you tell us, what is your vision of the endgame? No messing around, call the bluff. You come in with the vision of the endgame.
Let me bring in Kathleen in the last few seconds.
There are 2 other steps there, but I'll leave it there.
The fundamental... where we are fundamentally going wrong is in pushing for a 2-state solution, because Israel, and it is crystal clear, Israel has absolutely no Israeli,
Kathleen,
no
what
Israeli
is the
government,
solution?
including
what
labor.
should they do?
I think they should form a 1-state solution, but I think the U.S. is totally misguided
With
to
one
go
man,
along
one
with a
vote.
2-state solution. Pardon?
One man, one vote?
One
Would
man,
Israel
one
go
vote.
for that?
Yeah, with some kind of enforcement mechanism for equality.
2 different solutions there. What's yours?
Like I said before, I'm going to be mad and propose the Abed or Lieberman solution, is to look for a complete... I mean, we had Eyal Sivan here. Eyal Sivan co-made the film Rat 181. We should consider like a completely historic solution.
They can't even divide the West Bank. How are they going to put? How are they going to put the include the Israeli Palestinians?
They can't divide the West Bank because they're still kind of convinced that they're in some state of conflict. They're still expansive.
Well,
But
3 different solutions, and the discussion is still going on. Probably will for the next few hours, but we're out of time. So I'm handing the show over to you, the viewer, where, courtesy of James Rawson, we get your Facebook feedback on today's topic and previous shows.
Via emails, text messages or Facebook, Agenda viewers are great communicators, and each week prove that you are really switched on when it comes to discussing international politics and current affairs. Ali Hamraz from Srinagar in Kashmir wants us to do a show tackling the subject of occupation. His email says, "Occupation is the oldest form of terrorism practiced by imperialist and Zionist states throughout the world. The enforced disappearance of youths is an additional feature introduced in Palestine and Kashmir." Thanks for your email, Ali. We take all suggestions on board. Shaukat Qureshi from Oxford Brookes University in the UK also has something to say on the matter. "We need to understand the Zionist plan for the Middle East. The Israel of Theodore Herzl goes way back before the 2nd of November 1917, the fateful day of the disastrous Balfour Declaration. The plan is not just for Palestine, but the entire Middle East. plus Pakistan.